magistrate reached a verdict. I have guilty or innocent. Spare me this mockery of justice.
Anyway, I guess we'll see. We'll all find out together. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm pretty sure about that.
Pretty fired up this week. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Something else fired up about going back in time to a simpler time, a time when men were men and women were next to nothing. June of 1993. These WildCATs Trilogy, issues 1 through 3. This took 7 months to come out. June 1993, September 1993, and then December 1993.
Did they do that release schedule on purpose, or was Jae Lee's outrageous art taking that long?
I think it was his art taking that long, but I really couldn't say. I didn't have enough time today to kind of look at his work, his body of work, and piece together what he was doing from month to month, because he might have just had to, he was kind of in high demand at the time, and he was doing some stuff for Rob Liefeld as well, Youngblood's Strike File, and I think he had some Marvel work, and he was a busy guy.
He's fucking awesome.
I'm always really taken, and it's like knowing that this is one of his, okay, so what has he got before this? He's done some work for Marvel. He did a run on Namor again with John Byrne doing the writing. He did some X Factor issues during the Executioner's Song, and then these issues in Youngblood Strike File. He's got some, he's kind of a working professional, but he's definitely still a novice, and his style is immediately, he's just like from the forehead of Zeus, just on the scene.
Boom, yeah. Blew me away. I saw Grifter come around the corner with, I don't know. He has a trench coat on. He's so mutant, heavily muscled. It was like Arnold Schwarzenegger walking up on Danny DeVito. Then when he met up with that hobo in the alley, and he wasn't wearing any clothes underneath his jacket. He was wearing a trench coat, and he was just jacked, ripped up with horrific muscles. And then he was wearing I don't know what kind of sunglasses those were. It was 1960s. Sharp edges, and he looked like a fucking a badass sea doer.
Or one of those 1950s housewives with the hairdo all up and stuff. Yeah, he's definitely.
Only he was a fucking creepy horror show.
I did miss the part where he's completely and what pants is he wearing, and why does he have spikes?
I'm not sure if he's
long sleeve shirt
pants. I don't know.
I see red. I mean, the colorist might have saved us but he's got a huge belt, weird grifter-esque belt buckle.
Not that you would see that between his manhood's all on display.
Yeah. And this
if that guy came up behind me, I'd be fucking faint.
How do you keep doing that to me, my friend?
Thud. He's got a weird little German alley bum that feeds him information.
Old lonely. We should say so. The writing team on this is Brendan Choi and then a guy named David Wynn, who I couldn't earth anything up on this guy other than he did this story and some stuff in Batman Chronicles.
David Wynn, he's the guy that came up with the Nightcrawler informant here for sure. My friend.
Yeah, I think so. There's definitely something a little different than what you'd get from Brendan Choi. It feels like when they get into Greek myth and shit like that. I'm like, someone's putting some extra spice in here.
Yeah, shit spice.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. Oh no, go on.
No, I was gonna say, when you read a dumb accent, when somebody makes the effort to put those kind of accent affectations into a speech bubble, do you take a little extra time to reread it to yourself in a stupid accent in your own mind? Because I do.
I sometimes do.
Just curious.
I don't think I did. I don't think I did in this instance because it was so Chris Claremont.
You didn't linger. You just moved on.
Yeah. My friend. I was like, okay, this guy's just he's just taking all the ticks from Claremont. And
So
it's like actually Nightcrawler is an appropriate. Maybe you did that on purpose, but he sounds very much like Nightcrawler.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
Yeah. You're just like moving on.
Yeah. This guy's not important. He's gonna be dead soon. I was gonna say that, like, and we're gonna have lots of opportunities to say this over and over again, but Jae Lee's art is so inappropriate for superhero comics. He's a horror, like, this is horror. Like all these jagged lines and inky, like it's like the background is all black.
To be honest with you, I've never seen an artist that would better service Spawn.
Yeah.
By how this guy hasn't, like, over the years been in touch with, or how Todd McFarlane hasn't been on his knees to have him do a miniseries or whatever in his old school style when this was going on. Actually, hilariously enough, linked to Image. So, like, what in your creative team, like, if I'm Todd McFarlane and I see this book from one of my teammates, why am I not fucking calling this guy and being like, dude, I mean, I have to have you do a rendition at least, or a one shot of Spawn. Never happened. Very weird for me.
Yeah, that's fair. But then again, like, McFarlane, I don't know. He marches to the beat of his own drum, right? Like
yeah, that's right. He shields his horn. Right?
And also think about like these guys. Like, you don't want to be poaching from your own friends at this point. Like, Rob Liefeld's already doing a ton of that shit. Like, he's if I remember correctly, he's not the best business partner. We'll say that. And but I think maybe it might just be some collegial respect, like.
Oh man, well, if you're gonna put a lineup of 10 guys from Image Comics and pick the weak link, Robbie's gonna be on his fucking knees right away.
Yeah.
The guy couldn't hold a fucking book together. He can't draw. He can't do a cover. He can't put together any kind of sequential art that makes any sense. He can't draw hands or feet, and he can't write.
And it's weird, though, that none of that ever stopped him from selling millions of books.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because guess what's going to be collected in the future into a gorgeous one-shot fucking omnibus, a fucking Bedrock and the boys from Youngblood. No, they're not. Just kidding. That shit, and it will be forgotten forevermore into the anus of fucking comic books like Prime.
Yeah, I think, like, that might just be a case of mismanagement on the part of Liefeld, because he doesn't even own the Youngblood property anymore. Like, I think we've talked about this before. No, he lost it to some guy who, like, was part of a business deal. Like, it's just like he lost it in the fine print, essentially. And so he doesn't,
like a recording artist that's smoking too much meth.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe I don't know about the meth part, but definitely he fucked up.
I can't tell if that's unfortunate or, like, really expected.
I think, it's right up his alley. You're, like, just the master of like, he's just this guy that people still really like him, and he still does like work for Marvel, and he's churning out the same stuff. He's got a huge fan base still.
Maybe it's really cool if we get him, like, in a room full of people or something. That, like, a je ne sais quoi.
I don't think, possibly, but he sells books. He sells books, and that's it. Like, and so I think that if he could bundle Youngblood, he probably should and ought to, but he's not.
He would need the money to buy it back.
Yeah.
But I know. I think we got deeper into it on one of the Image rants one time, or maybe that was just a private conversation between you, me, and my brother about his, like, art style one time.
Right.
That it's sort of it has its own sort of pop feeling, like, that's, like, unique to him, and I mean, that's all it takes, right?
Yeah, and it's just remarkable that he just falls backward into success. It couldn't happen to the worst person. I don't understand. But.
Well, I mean, I know what you mean, though, but maybe a brilliant business move to not get Jae Lee in his little nails under the door of Spawn, because he probably at the time, if I was Todd and I was looking at my own pencils on paper and I saw that miniseries, I'd be like, I don't really want him around here. to draw Spawn better than me, and to draw women better than me, and to have like a unique feel to it that could be pulled out from under the carpet,
Yeah. But I do agree with you though. Like this would have been the coolest Spawn fucking miniseries ever. But oh well. Instead we get the
Spawn.
coolest.
Like I literally had a bum in an alley, which is fucking Spawn's bread and butter, and I had a big guy in a horrible red jacket with fucking crawly things coming off of him, fucking sneak up behind the guy in an alley. And I mean, it could have been like you're saying, it's a horror, like it appeared to be a horror book, and it really felt like that could have been Al Simmons, easy as pie, smooth as silk. But anyway,
and this I think the art even improves and over the course of these books. Like I like this opening story, but it's got a lot of Mark Texeira vibe as well, and it just feels a little rougher than what we're gonna get later on, even within a few months. But which isn't to say it's bad at all. It's just interesting to see him growing so quickly. I know what you mean with the Mark Texeira. That was a good reference. The book did smooth out. This guy definitely has a real idea in his mind of what the female form looks like also. yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's, tits and ass are definitely the image or basically superhero comic. It's part of the genre essentially.
Especially Image though. Image.
Yeah. And so he's just going
Image
into that.
Shook hands with the idea that blood, boobies, and edge were going to be their thing, right? So. Yeah.
That said though, like, his female form is to my eye very sexy. Like he draws voodoo, looking back. There's a flirtatiousness inside of in like the I don't know, in the eyes of the characters.
And his artwork's very pin-up-y, like a heavy metal, but with great detail, like more so than most comic book artists are capable of like evoking like that kind of a feeling or emotion about like a female figure or even a male figure. To have somebody feel that like frightening and dominating on a page is like, it's a lot of work, and maybe hence the time frame for this thing, but that's a speculation.
Well, I do think it's the amount of work. Like, I don't think that it's laziness or sometimes, getting back to old Rob Liefeld, you're like, well, what the fuck were you doing with your spare time? Why'd you? But with this, like, I'm looking at how many panels are on this page? 9 panel page. Not looking at the words right now, I can see what's happening. Like, you're getting different point of views, weird little electronic tracking blips. He's walking down a hall, and then it cuts to a huge splash page of those monsters, the synthezoids or whatever the fuck they are, basically demons. You're like, Jesus Christ. Sam.
Yeah, he did a great job with that too, like with his, and I mean, like this guy, like if there's anybody that I would wait, and I like, also I found that he sort of like he dialed his panels down really small sometimes before he'd do a splash page. I don't know if you notice, like, but
for sure.
If there's anybody who's like built for a splash page, it's Jae Lee. He sort of his style lends himself to that.
But I think, like, it really does. Well, and I was riffing on, like you said, he's pin-up-y, and he is, but it fits in. The seams aren't as apparent as they are, like, think back to Youngblood Strike File, the first one, or Team Youngblood, where there's just like that lineup of those like women and they're posing for no reason while they're having a conversation.
Right.
And it's just like, it just doesn't make any sense. But with here, the pinups are the exclamation point to the scene. It's the moment where you're going to be like, fuck yeah. And that's good, you know? It just kind of propels you along rather than making you stop and wonder.
Yeah, it's true. And I know what you mean. And he just has he does, even though some of his images are like static and kind of shocking, he does sort of have a better sense of like body movement for poses, so that it looks like they could be like in action or deliberately standing and looking like, you know, rather than just being like a sort of, I drew a figure. Like, I never get that feeling when I'm looking at this, like the pages move. Like,
yeah. And I just like, when the guns go off, it's everything it has this, like, it's like a blotch of ink that's exploding with, you know, as if color has detonated inside of ink, something like that.
Yeah. I thought when I thought about Spartan's chest being blown out when you say that.
Right. Yeah. You know, I just see it on all the pages, and it's so cool. I want to give a shout out to the colorist on this too, Joe Chiodo. He did all the coloring over at Wildstorm, and I was, you know, remember the other day, I forget what we were talking about, but I was fussing about modern day computer coloring. And I was remembering, you know, like these books looking good, and Joe Chiodo really handles early computer coloring extremely well.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm going to put this out there. If you handed me the ink for this work and you were like, hey, we're going to need you to do some coloring, I'd be like, oh, fuck, like I quit. Like, this is intimidating artwork, and I wouldn't want to be responsible for trying to color it and make it look good. And Buddy did quite the job, I'll tell you.
Yeah. So this is solid stuff. Mr. Chiodo, he's going to win I think in 1998, he's going to win some sort of award, comic book buyer's guide award for best colorist, whatever that's worth. I mean,
well, you know what? Hey, if you win an award, you know, for what you do, then that's pretty. Yeah.
From the comic buyer's guide, no less. I don't know. I don't know if the Eisners existed back then. I think they did. So did the Eagle Awards. And, you know, conspicuous in his absence is Joe Chiodo, but whatever, you know, everybody else was wrong. I love Zealot.
No, Zealot's pretty awesome. She's very heavy-handed. I like that. The Grifter. Yeah, Grifter's a funny character because the Grifter in the Image comics is set up. Sorry, I hear something strange. Geese.
Okay.
Anyway, the Grifter in Image Comics is set up to be a real cool guy, a real alpha male. He's in and out of the Team 7. He's in and out of this book. He goes on to get his own title. He's just a very cool character to work with. A gun-toting, smoking, you know, sort of card playing. I don't know, you know, your Gambit, your cool guy. He's a cool guy. This is a cool character.
And he's got an awesome mask. That goes a long way.
Yeah. Oh, his mask is dope. He spits in your face if you try and torture him. He's the man. And I like that they take Zealot and have him be like his master Yoda. Like, he's fucking Robin to her.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really cool dynamic. Very good idea. And I like the structure of it. It gives extra severity to the Zealot character. And sort of like, she gets when you're reading about her or you see her fight, she's Wonder Woman-esque, but there's more of an edge in there, and her, I feel like her the severity of her strength is vaulted just by that Grifter dynamic.
Yeah, I'm glad you the Wonder Woman comparison is really appropriate. Like, and they step on it real hard in this series. in a way that I had completely forgotten. Like I remember I bought these from a fucking corner store when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like that's
so inappropriate.
Yeah. I got each issue, and I guess I got them over a 7-month period. I was just very patient. Where was I going to go, right? I'm 13. Anyway, I didn't remember all this stuff about Themyscira or like the clear connections to Wonder Woman's mythology, and more also to Greek mythology. So she's like immortal, essentially, or she's at least a couple thousand years old. And yeah, she's pretty much like, what if Wonder Woman was extreme, man?
Well, yeah, I mean, is it?
Yeah.
And nice breakdown.
Yeah, no, but it's pretty fucking cool though, like, because I do wish she had more of a mission. Like, I don't know what the fuck Zealot's point is. She's a real cool character in search of a story. And everybody senses it, I think, but they fail to create a story for her.
I feel like that's I feel like that's sort of an ongoing thing for Zealot too. That she's like sort of failed at having her own like story sort of like rise to the top of anything. They almost actually use her similar to Yoda, in it, just not exactly, but just like, I mean, like sparingly, like we don't really need to go into depth of story. This person's the best at fighting. She's severe, really cool, use her sparingly, no need for backstory. or like you say, maybe they just didn't have anything, or they felt like it'd be too mimicky to Wonder Woman, or who knows what they had on the back burner, but they maybe just like decided they didn't have anything to stand on.
Yeah, but it would have been so simple. Like, Wonder Woman's mission is to bring peace to man's world, right? Like, that's a sentence. That, right. Like, so you can do that with Zealot. What Zealot's, instead, all she just kind of walks the land like kung fu, like, and she ends up joining groups for brief periods of time. And she's just kind of a wanderer who used to be a queen. And yeah, I don't know, and that sounds interesting as a side character, but as your main character, you're like, well, what do you want? Who are you? What are your goals? And you don't get the sense that she really has any, other than to just kind of be around and lament that she has to kill her sisters because they won't leave her alone.
Yeah. She also like does a fairly good job like terrorizing bad guys and bailing out the team, but I don't ever sense that like that's her intention. Yeah, she's kind of joined a team like because like these are some comrades you can wage war with for a decade or so until they've all passed away, and you remain alive, right? And you just going around doing your thing, except for Grifter.
Yeah, except for Grifter. And yeah, it is cool that Grifter. I like the idea of the Coda assassins, like just cool, hot assassin chicks. It's the getting back to what I think with Sailor Moon, the idea of the beautiful fighting girl. I think that's what the Coda kind of are, an attempt to do some of that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there would be exactly a connection there, but I know a lot of these guys were reading manga, watching a lot of anime, and yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think that like in the anime like the grotesque sort of like style anime and in the aggressive nature of it and some of it and stuff would have been like a good jumping off point for a lot of these guys, like Akira
for sure. Yeah. And getting back to Rob Liefeld, when people ask him, like what were you doing back when you were 19? Like, what were your inspirations? And he just talks about manga. Like Cable's costumes, he was just like, look at Appleseed. Like, it's all from Appleseed. I was just reading all this, like, because Eclipse was publishing all that stuff, and so people were able to put their hands on it. And Akira was definitely in that mix too for a lot of these guys. Yeah, just tons of stuff.
Yeah, so Brandon Chua, was he writing all of Wildcats at the time?
Essentially, yeah. He I don't know when eventually he's going to bow out and James Robinson will take over. And then after that, you get Alan Moore. So, but for a little while, he's like in the 1993 to 1995 period. I think he's the sole voice of that corner of the Image galaxy, like for the most part.
We did the tournament of firsts, which was really fun. But I don't really feel like we like Wildcats. To me seems to be maybe like in terms of like quality, one of the first forerunners of Image's like mainstay books being half decent.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's fair, but like if you don't like if you pull out like because the number ones is not really a fair way to like judge the complete content. Like if I was gonna say like here's a book that had like longevity that like changed with age, that the like intellectual properties are still good in, I'd have to probably throw my hat in the Wildcats.
I think so. Yeah, because you like even though it was so sporadically released, and I think it kind of it did get stuck in the mud for a little while, but you do get these little projects on the side. You get Trilogy. The special book was pretty good as well. They're building some stuff, but I'm remembering like even they had Chris Claremont come back and write 2 issues of Wildcats. There was a weird crossover with Strike Force or Cyber Force.
I think maybe I'm giving it a little maybe too much props because I'm thinking of like when it like graduated into like Wildcats 2.0.
It might and also but Gen 13 then came around and then like Deathblow was out there and I want to say these were all like fucking stellar books, but they were books and they were like interesting properties in and of themselves. They were stable. You knew you were going to get, one of them had fucking Tim Sale art. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. Deathblow, the initial Deathblow, which was I think Jim Lee and Brandon Chua. As well. They had like there's that. I have that big book, that big Deathblow book.
Right.
And I think it's got like from Jim Lee into Tim Sale.
Okay. That's an interesting transition.
It's a beautiful book. Like I bought it for a vacation and I just sort of read it on the side and I really enjoyed it. The artwork is very odd. It's Frank Miller-esque. You're familiar with it. And I mean, obviously aside from the toxic masculinity, the story was really like cool, like old school Commando feeling, and it was awesome.
Yeah, no, these books, and they're cool. These are cool books, and again, everybody looks cool. Like Jae Lee's character. Okay, Grifter doesn't look cool at first. He looks deranged. But I think actually that Travis Charest does in the other book that we're going to look at. I think his characters have better clothing. Better like real fashion sense, and I think that Jim Lee's characters felt properly contemporary as well. He had his own sort of fetishes and what he liked to draw, but his characters looked cool in a way that no one else's books looked cool.
And Jim Lee?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jim Lee with the Wildstorm books. Just basically anything in the Wildstorm universe, I should just say, because like J. Scott Campbell's kind of drawn some cool is a strong word, but people.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what this was, right? Like that's what Image was like. But I feel like this kind of is the ideal. Like if I was in editorial and I was like, we're gonna make something edgy, we're gonna make something with babes, we're gonna make something fucking cooler than everybody else's books, we're gonna have the best artists. If you showed me these 3 books, I'd be like, wow. That is it. Like that's what Image should stand for.
Yeah.
And it didn't hit the mark very many times, to be honest with you, though.
No, but it was there, and like this. Yeah, it's strong. Like I don't think the story's particularly interesting. I did find it neat that this one went out of its way to like essentially say that like Homer's Iliad was true within the Wildstorm universe, and that like Zealot had a hand in it in the Trojan horse story. That's an interesting choice, but it's it's they're trying, they're doing some stuff, they're making some moves here, and it looks fantastic. So I don't know what more you'd want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you'd want this to continue and not take like 3 months to release a book or anything like that. But.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Maybe production schedule is maybe something you want. But I think it was consistent to an extent. Although, yeah, I remember there was like a 5 or 6 month gap between WildCats 4 and 5. And then when 5 came out, it had this like 4-page gatefold cover, which, soothed all wounds as far as I was concerned at that age. It's totally worth it. Fantastic.
Yeah, these babies should have had posters in the middle, like 2 staple ones that you could just delicately take out.
That would have been nice, because like although the pinups you get are not great, they weren't great.
Not that I want that fucking Grifter looking at me on my wall.
Yeah, I don't know what else.
That one with him like sort of screeching down the side of the building.
Which issue?
It's in the first issue.
Oh, okay. I don't recall. Oh wait, I see. Whoomp. When he's like attacking attacking those goons down below. Some of Jae Lee's action is very weird. Oh, there's one when that Hightower guy, Hightower punches him in the face, and you're just like, what kind of body is that? Like, what?
I know.
How many dimensions exist in this universe?
When Artemis like throws that like sort of Muay Thai knee with side boob at Grifter, and I'm like, what just occurred here?
Where did she hit him? And like,
you can't move in any way that would cause any kind of damage from that trajectory. Unless you just like need him in the testes.
I think that's it.
Weirdly kept it off stage. I see his little hand quivering. That's typical of being kneed in the testes.
And then he coughs.
Yeah. Harg.
Yeah. That's appropriate. Yeah. And one of the things that he does to separate the female from the male form, and this isn't fucking revolutionary or anything, but it's nonetheless what he's doing. Like the women have, like, Grifter is all hard edges. He's got spiky bits everywhere. He's like sharp. And all of the female characters are very smooth, very curly, very obviously very curvy. And he, I don't know, he just pulls it off really well. I mean, you could fuck that up pretty easy, but he differentiates them.
Yeah, it's true, especially for an artist with like his like heavy hand, like with the heavy ink, the horror, the ink splatter, the splatter kind of movement you were describing and stuff like that. With that style of drawing men rigid and drawing females like smooth and flowing like that, I almost wouldn't have expected it from him until you saw the first few female characters like Voodoo and stuff on paper, and you're like, whoa, like,
yeah,
it's a stark like differential.
Yeah. And then by the time even in issue 2, things are less murky.
I was gonna say I really enjoyed. There's a combat scene at the end of the book. Zealot and I just said her name, Artemis, have a little have like a bit of a sword fight.
Yeah,
and the action's like a lot more smooth, like panel to panel. Like I can see what's happening, and just there's one page in particular. I think it's like 21 of 24. Where like the sword fight's really smooth. And then that's when like you were saying even like a yeah, that's right. There's a kick. But like even that like you were saying, like from the previous book, it's almost like his like ability to put together like a fight sequence got better.
Yeah. And still, you know, he's picking interesting angles. Like that one scene just before the sword battle where she when Zealot, you know, blocks the Artemis's attack. And it's it's strange. Like the kid's face is very emotive. And then the lines, you know, the crossing, you're not quite sure what's happening, but I think the sound effect makes it clear. But whatever the case, it's an interesting image. You know, it's kind of like he's in the crosshairs.
Yeah.
And then she like de-swords her, and then Andromache, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She jumps in, the new queen.
Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't pick up a lot of the Greek stuff you were talking about though, but
it's like I mean, especially if you were in a rush, but there is a full page of you know her doing clearly Trojan horse shit. So and this last issue, fucking really cool stuff, like the way that Jae Lee illustrates the psychic battle between Voodoo and this Damonite guy.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Their psychic battle was very like Professor Xavier-ish. It was really smooth. Like I felt like, okay, we're on like some kind of a psychic plane here. This battle's being fought in the mind. Very cool. I thought that was really well done. How he changed the art style completely too.
Yeah, it starts looking a little more Bill Sienkiewicz in some areas, although that influence has been there throughout for sure. But yeah, and then looking at Andromache. I'm just gonna call her Andromache, which means battler of men.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Zealot, and just looking at each other, and it's got like an Art Adams vibe, and I don't know, there's just like a lot of this guy's influences they seep out at this point, but it in a really good way.
And like somebody out there might cringe a little bit, but like honestly, like in terms of Image being like very like chauvinistic and misogynistic just in general as a company, very neat that that they would take the coda and some of the work with the Wildcat stuff down these like sort of progressive paths, you know, like ahead of Marvel, you know.
What paths towards what though?
Like in terms of having like just like simple strong female leads.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I can't think of like I guess your obvious comparison then is got to be to X-Men, because like X-Men is the place where Image was born for all intents and purposes, right? Like out of Chris Claremont's X universe.
Right. Well, you took the flagship artist, right? The guy that got your million issue sales.
Yeah. And
so I mean, like really, that's going to be the hinge point. What was awesome about X-Men? It certainly wasn't the writing. Why did X-Men sell 1 million copies? Because Jim Lee's art's fucking off the chains.
Yeah.
That's like, and I feel like that's pretty much the business plan for Image, but
yeah, no, that's fair. I'm just thinking like the emphasis upon women and female characters in this era is all comes out of Claremont's X-Men, you know, because like you got Jean Grey, you got Psylocke. What is fucking Zealot other than Psylocke, right?
True.
In a lot of ways. So I don't think it was like, I think, but that it maybe is what part of Wildstorm's success as well.
Voodoo, right?
Well, it can all over the place, right? It's all the same fucking characters and tropes kind of pulled out, you know. It's But I guess it means both. Yeah, sorry, I didn't think about the voodoo connection as well. But
oh yeah, just because she had that sort of like pink psychic force coming from her hands.
Yeah, and she was a ninja, and she was all curvy and.
But I guess every girl's a curvy ninja in this book, so. Yeah. That's kind of tough.
Yeah. That's true.
Actually, sort of shooting myself in the foot for calling this progressive in any way, but. Anyway.
No, but it is at the very least. There's, I don't know, some sort of feminine energy, something's there in the same way that the X-Men had that as well. Only like it doesn't come across as well in the writing because it's Brendan Choi, the architect, such as it was. He's just not a great writer.
He's like a ham-fisted Claremont.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Which is like, that's scary.
Yeah. I know you're not a big Claremont fan, but I think he was doing some good stuff. I think he built an interesting universe. And he had a vision.
You literally you could be talking about Days of Our Lives right now.
Oh, that's true. It's true. Not wrong. Yeah. So I don't know. Do we got anything else on this thing? Other than it's fucking cool. This is a cool book. I was glad to reread it.
Yeah, if you can get this weird ass fucking book from somewhere, you should get it and read it.
Yeah, it's on eBay. They're a million. Like they sold millions of these. They're all over the place. I bet you'd get it for 99 cents if COVID wasn't a thing and you could go down to your local comic book shop and dig around in the back issue
through the back issue bin.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all got some image issues in here?
Yeah.
Make an enemy of your local comic book guy?
Oh, no, man. That's not a good attitude for a local comic book guy. If someone comes in, wants some old image.
Have you ever met a local comic book store owner that had a good attitude?
Oh, that's a good point, though. That is,
local comic book guys also, if there's any local comic book guys listening to this, there's probably not because there's not enough of a volume of people. However, if you are listening to this, like, lighten up. Fuck.
Yeah, lighten up. People just want to read about, they want some Jae Lee art. And yeah, don't be such a fucking gatekeeper. Let people in. Yeah,
man. Relax, man. Like, not everybody's gonna play Magic the Gathering, okay?
Wow. I think a lot of store owners do. I mean the good ones at the very least. They got to be welcoming and whatnot. How you doing?
Yeah, like welcoming in the same way that you're like, ugh. Like.
Oh, jeez. You've had a lot of bad comics book store experiences.
Oh, God, yes. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's true. They're all a fucking a breed of cat piss men. That's for sure.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.